The honourable member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So this is an interesting rolling of history here. We had just a few years ago the Liberal government of the day, sorry, the third party at the time being extremely critical of the Conservative government for not upholding the legislation, which was a term of privatization of taxpayer assets, commitment to protect Canadian jobs in place as a trade, as a term for that privatization. And the third party was at that time very critical of the Conservative government for not taking stronger action just a few years ago. So we now have legislation before the House that looks like a very clear reversal of that position, that we are seeing a very strong protection of the corporate interest and not seeing this proposed legislation standing up for local jobs that are guaranteed to stay in Canada. Good paying jobs, Canadian jobs. So through you, Madam Speaker, I'm curious what my Conservative colleague is feeling about this very turned around history on this story, and now that the narrative is quite turned around. Thank you.
The honourable member for Caribou Prince George.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's an excellent question from our honourable colleague. I would have to say, Madam Speaker, is that the timing of this legislation is awfully suspect, as I mentioned in my speech. Only after Air Canada has announced that it will indeed purchase the C-Series aircraft from Bombardier. They've got a commitment of maybe up to 75. We've seen some lawsuits dropped with Quebec and Manitoba. There seems to be, Madam Speaker, a rush to get this legislation in place, and perhaps maybe a loss of memory of their stance previously. But again, we've seen with this government loss of memory in recent months after October 19th and after their campaign, where they made a lot of promises, and there was everything, as one of our colleagues said, rainbows and unicorns, and now we see the loss of memory in their stance previously in the previous government, previous parliament, and so they're changing it. It's a rush to judgment, and I think it is merely looking after friends. Thanks.